to talk about a particular hormone that is very important when it comes to making the right decisions as far as what you decide to eat or don't eat for the sake of your health. And a lot of people don't really take into consideration hormones. Like, we just kind of think it's pretty simple where, oh, don't eat this, or, exercise, or just, we just kind of have a linear approach to our health and our well-being, and we don't take into play the anatomy and the biological functions of what's actually going on in our body, and we don't take into consideration different things that could play a role in our health. Now, I do want to start by saying that, when it comes to trying to lose weight and get healthy and even reverse insulin resistance, because insulin is a huge issue. And one of the reasons why people have chronic diseases and are overweight and can't burn fat is because of the presence of insulin, over too much insulin in the body. And so I want to be able to talk through a few things so that you can have a little bit of awareness when it comes to how you're feeling. I want you to pay attention to your body when you eat certain foods. And I'm going to discuss this particular hormone that is greatly involved in your ability to burn fat and your ability, again, to choose when you want to eat, what you want to eat, how much you want to eat, and so forth. Now, make sure that if you want to continue to get information about your overall well-being and helping you to understand your body, make sure that you like this video and subscribe to my page. I'll continue to get content out to you. All right, so this hormone that we're talking about is called leptin. Now, leptin is very tricky. There are two hormones that play a role in whether or not you are hungry or you feel full, right? And so leptin is the hormone that sends a signal to the brain that says, hey, I'm full, I don't need to eat anymore, I'm satisfied, I'm good. All right. And ghrelin is actually the hormone that allows your body to feel the hunger. It tells your brain basically, I'm hungry right now, it's time for me to eat. Well, when it comes to losing weight and even reversing some of these issues that you could be dealing with in your health and also being preventative, your body needs to get the signal that when you eat, that you are full, basically, that you are okay, and that your body is signaling the brain in a correct way to say, hey, I'm done eating, right? And so because of the certain foods that we eat, like a lot of grains, a lot of simple carbs and sugar, that particular hormone gets blocked, and you can develop what you call leptin resistance. And it's similar to insulin resistance in that your body begins to not get the signal that that leptin is sending to the brain to tell you that you should stop eating, right? And so because of this, it's not really a willpower issue when it comes to people deciding whether or not they're going to not overeat or eat the right things. There's a hormone problem that's happening. And so it's very hard to overpower this with a will driven to say, hey, I'm going to not eat anymore because I know it's bad, especially when your body is saying that you're hungry. Now, leptin is derived by fat cells. And so the more fat cells that you have in your body, the more leptin is in your body. And so really, if someone is overweight, they really shouldn't be hungry that much because they are releasing leptin in their body, and leptin should be telling them, hey, you're full, right? And that's actually not the case. Actually, people who are overweight, a lot of times they have cravings and they are hungry a lot. And again, there's an insulin resistance issue that's happening that makes all of this happen because your blood sugar is going up and down and crashing and all of that. Okay, we won't get into that too much right now, but just understand that insulin is at the root of a lot of these issues. All right. And so let me make it plain for you so you can understand exactly what I mean. So when you go out to a party or a gathering and there's just a lot of bad food available, like let's say pizza, and I mean the dough, the bread, pasta, potato chips, cookie, ice cream, Maybe you're going for a brunch and there's a bunch of like carbs, like donuts and pastries and pancakes with syrup and French toast with all kind of caramel and all of this sugar, right? And again, I'm not saying that that there's not a time to have your feast, but you need to do it in a smart way. But let's say you're eating these foods, okay? So when you eat these foods, what happens is because you have too much of the carbs and the grains going throughout your body, a lot of times it'll mess up these hormones and the communication that these hormones have with your body. Again, one is saying, okay, it's time to eat, and one is saying, okay, you're full and you're satisfied, right? Well, guess what? When that gets in the way, then your body no longer is able to know when you're full and when you should stop eating. So that's why if you eat donuts, you can go back for a second one or a third one or a fourth one. Or that's why you can sit at a dinner table and there's a big old thing of bread on the table and everybody just eats the bread, and then they still have room for dinner. And then after dinner, they have room for dessert. And in the middle of all of this eating, there's probably 12, 16-ounce cups of like pop or juice or sugary iced tea or whatever it is that you're drinking. Now, how is it possible? Have you ever thought about, and this is why I want you to have awareness, have you ever thought about how it is possible for somebody to continue to eat like that? Or you go to a barbecue or something and someone is drinking a Coke, right? And then maybe 10, 15 minutes later, after drinking it, they got another Coke in their hand and then another one. And all throughout the party, you constantly see this drinking of sugary drinks. How is it possible that your body's able to handle all this liquid when you wouldn't do that with water? You wouldn't take a glass of water and drink it, and 15 minutes later, another one and another one. You can't do that. And the reason why is because, again, there's an interruption of hormones that are supposed to communicate to your body. So those hormones get interrupted and doesn't tell you, hey, stop, wait, no more. Like, this is too much. You don't need any more food. It gets in the way, and that's why we can go back for seconds and thirds and fourths and fifths of a pizza. And give me one more slice of pizza, by the way. Okay. Now, is it ever possible for you to do this if you are eating foods that don't contain a lot of carbs and sugar, right? And I'm talking about bad carbs that don't have a lot of fiber in it and that's not nutritional to your body. Because when you're eating like this, it's almost like you're always hungry, but you're nutrient deficient because you're not eating the type of foods that provide nutrients to your body. And so when you eat actual healthy fats, which is really what you should be eating if you're having this leptin resistance problem, or if you're that person who just really overeats and you really stay hungry and you get kind of upset when you're not able to eat when you need to eat. There's some miscommunication probably going on if that's you. And there's some insulin resistance that's probably going on if that's you. But nobody ever asked for a second or a third piece of steak. Hey, by the way, give me another 32-ounce T-bone steak. You don't see stuff like that happening. And the reason why is because when you're eating foods like that, your brain communicates very healthily to the body to say, hey, you're full, you don't need to eat anymore. And that's it. And that's why when we eat real foods, it's very safe because our bodies communicate and there's not an interruption of these hormones not being able to communicate to our body. And again, as I stated before, if you are overweight or you have too many fat cells, then you have an abundance of leptin in your body. And this is actually not good to have an overabundance of it, because then what happens when you have too much, you become resistant to it. And so now you have all this leptin in your body that should be communicating that you are full and that you don't need to eat, because technically, if you have a lot of fat cells, you should be able to survive a little longer without eating because you have enough fats that can be utilized as energy, right? But instead, when people are overweight, they're actually eating more when really they almost have the advantage to eat less because of having so many fat cells or so much fat within the cells. And then again, when you have too much of this hormone in your body, the communication shuts down. And now you really can't determine whether you're satisfied or not, whether you should stop eating or not. And so now you're going to make really bad decisions with your eating, and you're going to choose to eat things that are not good for your body. And so there's a whole catastrophe that happens. And I don't think people understand how hormones play such a role in this. Now, again, a lot of this start from being insulin resistant, even with the weight gain, not being able to burn fat. If you're dealing with maybe pre-diabetes or diabetes type 2 or even type 1, a lot of that starts with the issue of insulin. All right. And so we need to figure out ways to lower insulin in the body. And we need to figure out ways to make sure that you are doing something to correct these hormones so that they communicate properly. And so I would definitely suggest making sure that you eat healthy fats, because again, when you eat healthy fats, your body communicates the way it needs to. And you usually don't overeat on healthy fats because it's just kind of hard to. I mean, because your body will say, hey, I'm super full. And so I just wanted to point this out and bring some attention to it. Now, I couldn't go over everything that I need to talk about when it comes to ghrelin and leptin, but I'll continue the conversation because this is a really huge issue a lot of times with people, again, making healthy decisions. And I, again, wanted to point out that if you are struggling, it is a normal thing to struggle with overeating, not eating the right things when you have your hormones out of whack. This isn't something that you can just usually put your mind together and just say, hey, I'm going to stop it. It's just much easier if we can deal with the hormone problems. And then that way that there's some assistance, there's some momentum, and there's some help coming your way to allow you to make the right decisions with your eating. But I did want to, again, say this because I want you to start paying attention. Pay attention when you go out to eat, when you eat certain foods. Pay attention to how your body feels. If you're eating eggs and real food or grass-fed beef or whatever it is that you eat that's real food that doesn't contain a lot of high sugary carbs, or just pay attention. Do you get full? Does your body communicate like that's enough to eat? And then pay attention if you are one of those people who are not eating properly and who are eating a lot of carbs or starting your day off with dessert, basically. Pay attention to how hungry you get, 30 minutes later, or how much energy is depleted out of you when you eat certain things. I just want you to be aware so that you can know, okay, I think I need to change some things, because that's a decision at the end of the day that needs to be made by you, but it's very, very difficult when you have your hormones working against you. Now, if you want to hear more, make sure, again, you like this video and you subscribe to my page, and I'll continue to get information out to you that will help you with living as healthy as you possibly can.